at the end of the day, and for some reason, God has blessed me with an audience that are people that are just good people. And we live in a world full of bad people. We're not full of bad people, run by bad people. But the good people out there, I've bought over 12 million of them together. And I've just started doing a promotion for a company called Glint, who you have a debit card. I can show you the debit card, and it's attached to gold. And it's an ATM card, but Glint. And instead of having your money in a bank, you have gold in a depository. So you spend your gold. Number one, you stop spending so much, because when you're spending your own gold, it hurts a bit more than spending promissory notes. But secondly, the whole team in customer care have said the same thing. They've never had so many nice people to deal with. All these, the first day we did the advert, they had 800 new clients. And they said everyone was so polite and so nice. And the owner of the company, who I've got to know, is he's just said, I've never met a group of people that are so friendly, so nice, and so kind. And when you bring a lot of people together, for people like yourself that set up, you've been on this journey, Michael, for a long time, and you've had a pretty rocky road. I came along a long way down your journey, but it felt right from the start. And that I have also, with what I've been doing with homeless people, we've got a site where there's 45 homeless people in one place, and we're building them a kitchen. I want to, because they've got sort of covered accommodation, but I want to build accommodation. And of course, the governments down here, they give them the absolute bare minimum electricity just for light, not enough to heat, just enough to light. Yeah. And when we were with them the other day, I thought to myself, I said to my wife, maybe we can get some porta cabins, so they've all got their own little porta cabin till we build something special for them. But when it comes to electricity, my first thought was buy a generator. Then I thought, no, I need to speak to Michael, because with what you're doing with a generator that doesn't need diesel, petrol, sunlight, cold water, whatever, that works on the systems that you were talking about, that's the first brick in the wall. And then we can attract more homeless people there. But we're up against a community where the mayors, the corrupt mayors, they want to keep people on the streets. They want to keep homeless people out there, so that they show to people like you and I that if we don't kowtow to their control, this is how we'll land up.
Yeah, it is. What you're saying is absolutely true. It's absolutely, we live in the most remarkable, upsetting, jaw-dropping, depressing, and at the same time inspiring times, because we're seeing the best and we're seeing the worst of people, seeing the best and the worst of our politicians, our so-called leaders. Yeah. Seeing the agenda of the global elite. It's so obvious now, more than ever before. Yeah. And now is the time that we really get the people to wake up, and that's what's happening. Waking up and realizing, unless we stand up and do something for ourselves, no one is coming to save us. We have to save ourselves.
Yeah, exactly right.
And the one small town model is the simplest way, the simplest tool, the simplest way to take that step without any money. We don't need money. Well, we need money, we need investors, but the investors will come. But we don't need money ourselves. The investors will come to our towns because they find the one small town strategy so attractive from a financial investment opportunity. So the thing about the one small town implementation is so beautiful that we don't need to give something up and jump off a cliff hoping that we'll land on solid ground. The one small town strategy and the roll into it is so seamless and so smooth that nobody has to fear anything. There is no fear of losing anything, so that you hope to gain something. And that's the beauty of it. So the mayors have zero downside.
Sure.
So, the mayor decides, I want to do this one small town thing. I like the sound of it, but how do we do this? There is no downside. There is only an upside. The mayor doesn't need any fancy skills, doesn't need money, doesn't need knowledge of business, doesn't need anything. All the mayor needs is the will, the intention, and the conviction to take the steps necessary to turn his or her town into a place of tremendous, of infinite abundance and prosperity. And for me, the more I work with this since 2005, when I first started talking about this, how it evolved over 16 years, how it's matured into this fully grown, mature philosophy that has so many strong foundational roots in it that you cannot knock it over. Right. The more I work with this one small town model, the more excited I get.
I totally love it. And I was thinking about the practical implications of not having a mayor, of saying to these homeless people, fine, I will get you a generator.
Yes.
And it'll keep you warm. It'll keep you dry. It'll keep you with everything you need on site. And then you can provide free electricity to a builder, to a plumber. So we can actually get to you imagine if you go to the people who supply bricks and mortar and everything else and say, fine, if you can give me bricks and mortar, I can give you free electricity for your business.
You've just described the one small town model.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's what it is.
It's
now,
mega.
Now the thing is, Charlie, what you've just described there, that's like the one small town model on a very, very micro scale of a community hall. Now you take it, you expand that to a town, and you imagine a town of 10,000 people doing that.
Yes.
Because now you have electricity, you have water, you have shelter, healthcare, everything we need, because everybody contributes their 3 hours a week. Mm-hmm. And suddenly we have all this abundance, and that free labor is what's so attractive to the investors.
Of course, and the free labor comes in return for free electricity the other way. And immediately I saw this site. We've got one man there called Chule, and he's basically a Spanish gypsy, but he's got a massive heart. I mean, massive. He does everything for his people, everything. And I thought to myself, do you know what? He would make the perfect mayor because he cares about people. Forget the fact he comes from a gypsy background. Forget he hasn't got an education from a university. He cares for people. That's what we need.
That's exactly what we need, because the mayor doesn't have to be good at business or accounting or strategy. The mayor needs to care for the people, the
humanity.
And if you care for your extended family, which is your community, the way you care for your immediate family, then we have a cohesive, united, integrated community where everybody cares about everybody else. Yeah. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. I often compare it to the trillions of cells in our bodies. Yeah. If you think about it, our bodies are a perfect example of how working together in harmony, in coherence, in coherent resonance together for the greater benefit of the community of cells known as the body. If we do that in our community, where we as individuals see ourselves as cells working individually for the greater good of the community, our body, our town, then we have a healthy body. We have the moment the cells in your body start to fight, the moment there's dissonance, that means you start growing cancer, and the cells become cancerous. They grow and they kill you. And that's what happens. The moments there's disharmony, there's dissonance, there's friction and fighting in a community, the community suffers and the community breaks apart. The community is no longer strong. It is such a simple analogy that I just love it. And the one part of this that I love even more is, of the trillions of cells in our bodies, we have all kinds of cells. We have the cells gang up together in specialized groups. Cells, the brain cells, the skin cells, the eye cells, the heart cells, the blood cells, the kidney cells, the liver cells. It's hundreds and hundreds of different types of groups of cells. And yet, even when they gang up together as groups of specialized cells, they don't fight each other. The kidneys aren't fighting for domination of the liver cells, and the liver cells aren't fighting for domination of the skin cells. Because if that was the case, your body would just shut down and you would die in agony.
Sure. Sure.
That's a beautiful example how we can have in our towns specialized groups of people that are working on their specialized thing, whatever it is, and within harmony of everyone else in the community for the benefit of the greater good of the entire community. It's just so simple and so beautiful. Let's just follow the example of our bodies.
Exactly. And you and I both know South Africa well. And I very often visualize in my mind, I've been to Soweto. And I imagine myself, and when I say I've been to Soweto, I went there 20 years ago. So, and it's now a lot more civilized than it was 20 years ago. I mean, it was a dangerous place in those days. But I often imagine myself in Soweto saying, right, I'm going to roll myself an electric cable out through the whole of your town, and I'm going to roll out a hose pipe. Now, if you want to tap in to that electric or that water, you don't need to do it sneakily. You can do it. But all I ask of you is 3 hours worth of work up the road here to build something or do something for the community. And I think about that as just, do you know, in the old days, the black guys would just go, right, I'm going to drill into the water and nick the water. No, you can't steal it. You can have it for nothing. You don't need to steal it. All we just want is a little bit of help. And they would absolutely love to give you that help because that's in their DNA. They work together anyway. It's in the way they are. We you know, the English people call it tribal. It's not, it's just a teamwork. It comes from tribalism, definitely from the Xhosas, the Zulus, the different tribes.
It comes from that original human spirit.
Of course it does.
Of people living in communities, looking after each other.
Of course.
You know, before money, before technology, before what we think is industrialization progress. You know, progress is just a very fancy word for we'll sneak up on you and take control of your land, take control of your time, take control of your resources, take control of everything that you have.
Sure.
And we'll replace it with this thing called money, and then we'll make it look like progress, and everybody will be amazed by the technology and the fancy shiny metal and all this crap. It's unbelievable. So the original thing that you just mentioned, and there are, the closer you get to indigenous and traditional and tribal cultures around the world today, that still exists. It still exists in those communities. I mean, there's some tribes in South America that have never seen Western society.
Yeah, that's true. And in Amazonia.
Yeah.
Exactly. Many.
So what we're doing is we don't have to do away with technology. We don't have to do away with the comforts. We don't have to do away with abundance of food and whatever. We just use that abundance of the technology we have to unite and use that for the benefit of our community. What I've been calling, we use the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation.
Yeah.
And I'd like people to remember this slogan. This is a very important slogan when it comes to implementation, the implementation plan of the One Small Town strategy. We cannot fight the system because we can't beat the system, because the system was constructed thousands of years ago. This is not just something that happened in 1776 when the Rothschilds just took over the philosophy. That's a really interesting question. Is how did they stumble upon this simple plan of action, and they just literally overnight took control of the global financial and banking industry? They must have had some very interesting, very clandestine help from dark, sinister characters, whoever those characters might be. But the financial enslavement has been going on for thousands of years.
Yeah.
You can't overthrow it. You can't fight it, because it was created to destroy anyone and everything that tries to overthrow it.
Sure.
It's that simple. So the only way we can beat the system is by creating an alternative system that makes this system obsolete.
Yeah.
Same way that Buckminster Fuller was trying to tell us many, many years ago already. And the One Small Town model does that so beautifully, so elegantly, so effortlessly, and so seamlessly that it boggles the mind. And when I talk to people about the implementation plan, the philosophy and the idea is simple. I mean, you can see it. Millions of people can see it. This is why millions of people are excited about the One Small Town Can Change the World plan. And this is why I'm under so much pressure to try and manage this bloody movement. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the implementation, this simple plan takes a number of very critical and important steps that have to happen consequently. They have to happen systematically. And often a number of things have to happen at the same time so that they link together and create a strong foundation for what we're building on top. So the implementation plan of